welcome to the Love Kanika podcast. My name is Kanika,
My name is Vanita.
and we are back for another Wednesday evening show.
Ooh, ooh, I like this new time.
I know, right? I like
Yes,
this. I like this getting out of work and coming straight over here thing,
I agree. I like it.
so I can get out here and
Live
you
your best
know,
Wednesday evening.
you know,
What's in that cup? What's in that cup? No.
ready to go.
Ooh,
Get off here. Well, absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Um, as always, if you don't mind subscribing and uh, liking the video, we would appreciate it because it's sort of a new podcast. I think we've been doing this maybe 2 years now, so we're kind of new. Trying to
yes.
get in the algorithm so we can appreciate any love
Support and help.
support, yeah, that you
Yes.
all can give us. Can give us. How are you this evening?
I'm doing good. A little sleepy, but I'm good.
Okay, good, good. I was just looking at the intro, and I like the intro.
Well, that's awesome. It is dope, though.
It's kind of cute. I like it.
It is.
So this evening, before we start with tonight's topic, let me first just give a quick little apology for the show last week. I was on one heavy last week, and you know, Vanita and I had a conversation about it after the show was over, and she let me know, you was on one, girl, and I was. And I want to apologize for if you saw the show because it's not available now, but if you saw it, I want to apologize for my energy behind what I said because I could have delivered it better. Although I meant everything I said, I definitely could have had a better delivery and tone down that crazy ass energy I had. So let me just say I apologize for that, and I'm gonna try to do better. That's the
But
goal.
I will say, guys, in her defense, that really came from a place of love and disappointment in the community is where that really came from for her. It
Yeah,
does not excuse what the tone was, but sometimes when you're in, you're hurt or disappointed by something, you respond a particular kind of way. And that's pretty much what happened.
and the disappointment. To explain the disappointment is, I guess I'm disappointed with this whole jump on somebody and bash them thing y'all like to do on social media when something happens or someone says a thing. People don't even take time to listen to the other side
Yeah.
of the story or whatever the situation may be. Everybody just congregates on this one person or the group in question and just kind of bashes them. And that's not cool because at the end of the day, that could be you. How would you feel if you were in those people's position and you got millions of people talking about you, badgering you, making fun of you, laughing at you, and a lot of the times you didn't
Yeah.
even know what was done or said. You didn't even get a chance to defend yourself. Sometimes we need to put ourselves in other people's positions instead of having
Yes.
this like pack mentality, wanting to fit into the group. So just because they're bashing people or laughing at something about somebody publicly, then you jump on and you want to put your 2 cents in it and laugh too. That's not cool because what I do know, and if you don't take anything I say from anything tonight, just know what goes around comes around. You'll have your day in
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form.
Karma is
So
real.
just be mindful of that because see, God is always watching, right? We can sit behind our computers and hee and gaga and hee and point the finger and talk shit and all of this, but just know God is always watching and you will have your moment. So don't wrap karma around your own neck.
Exactly. And the karma doesn't always come back in the same form that it went out. So be
You know,
mindful of that too. When you slight people God could get you back by taking money from you.
Taking
And I'm
several.
sure that's not what you want, to give one
Absolutely.
example, but that's not
Absolutely.
what you want.
Absolutely. So, before, we get jump on this bashing thing we like to do ever since, I've seen social media, stop and really look at the situation before you form an opinion based on somebody else's story or opinion, because you don't even know if it's true or not. And again, I always say, what if they were doing that to you? Like, think for yourself. Don't be a part of the pack. Don't be a follower, be a leader. Don't be a follower, be a leader. Okay? Think about that the next time a news cycle hit and y'all want to jump on and point the finger and do all that childish shit that I saw a couple of weeks ago. So that's why I was upset. I was upset at the behavior of the collective. I'm like, we hadn't evolved none. Y'all still in the matrix, still here. And after all this time, come on, it's time for us to evolve and become better people. It's time for that. Matter of fact, the universe is requiring it. And that leads us into our conversation tonight. We're going to talk about change, right? And how to navigate change. It's ironic that today is the day that this show was on the calendar, because today is the 4-year anniversary of my mother's passing. And we know that death is by far, if not the biggest change, one of the biggest changes we all will experience, in this lifetime, whether, we're dealing with, our own mortality, or we are dealing with the passing of, people that we love, and how we navigate that transition, which for me, I had a dose of it real young. And now when I look back on it, I understand why exactly the reason it had to happen the way that it did. And I'm talking about the passing of my grandmother, which happened when I was, I think I was 15 at the time. And I lived with her. I lived with my grandparents. My parents were in my life, and but most of the time I spent with my grandmother. I loved my grandmother. She was like my mama to me, so I was always there and with them. And they were, my parents were a bit young when they had me. Like, I think they were like 17 and 18. They were married, but they were still a little young to have a child. So of course, when you're young like that, a lot of times the grandmother steps in to help, because ultimately that you kind of still a child, raising a child. So a lot of times the grandparents stepped up, and my grandmother did. And so I built a really, really close bond with her. And to have her be snatched away from me so unexpectedly changed the course of how I see the world and how I process life now. Woke up one day, I'm gonna make a long story short, but woke up one day and got ready to go to school. Got dressed, knocked on my grandparents' door, and told them goodbye. Went on to school. That third period, I get a call. They called me over the intercom to come to the counselor's office, and I remember clearly, because of where the counselor's office was, it was at the very end of the hallway. And I remember opening the door to the hallway and seeing all my cousins who were in the same high school that I was in, and a couple of my aunties at the end of the hall, and everybody was crying. Now, I instantly knew whatever was going on wasn't good. So I remember dropping my backpack and sprinting down the hall to see why my family was all gathered at the counselor's office, and they were calling me. And the counselor then pulls me into the office because everybody was in the hall crying. So she pulled me into the office and shut the door, and she's like, Kanika, your grandmother passed this morning. She had a heart attack. And I remember so vividly saying, no, that's not true, because I just saw her. She's fine. And the counselor, with like tears in her eyes, she was like, no, Kanika, she had a heart attack after you left and she passed. And I remember panicking and picking up the phone and calling home, just dialing home. And I could see the counselor with tears in her eyes. And she was like, Kanika, she's not going to answer. She's gone. And then my aunt's coming in, because by this time I'm getting hysterical. I'm getting upset, right? So let me put myself together. So I don't remember much after that. I remember some way, somehow, I ended up at the hospital, the emergency room. And I remember walking into the emergency room and seeing my family, my extended family, just sitting there, and everybody was crying. And I remember just collapsing, because at that moment, I knew it was true. And the whole life took a spiral from that. I just lost myself. The hole I had in my heart is still there, as you can see. I just didn't know what to do or where to go or anything. So it changed the way I looked at life. And it still does. And I understand it. I understand it because I think, had God left her here with me and all my family members, because we were so close to our grandmother, and my mom's close to her mom, I know my grandmother would have coddled me, right? I wouldn't have been forced to find my way. Like, that forced me to find my way in life, because it's like my security blanket was ripped from under me fairly quickly. And so I had to figure this thing out. Of course, I still had my mom, but my grandmother and my bond was irreplaceable. So to have life change so quickly and so drastically in the way that it did, it almost taught me, in a way, to not get attached to things, like not cling on to things, because at any minute it can be taken, right? So I've navigated this change thing early on in life, and I've learned that, although it may be so uncomfortable, because we all kind of get stuck in a complacent state, in a lot of our lives. And I now understand that God has to come in and remove people, places, and things out of our life to push us forward. Because if these things are never taken, particularly as horrible as it can be, people, our security blankets, whether, it's our family members, our parents, because we know losing a parent is one of the hardest things you will ever have to endure. They're like your lifeline. And even when you're grown, is one of the hardest things you will have to endure. But sometimes it's necessary to push you along on your journey. So, I have learned to understand that with life is going to be inevitable change, whether, we're changing a job, whether we're changing our relationship, whatever the situation may be, we have to be okay and ready for ready for change. And I know with you, um, you went through a lot of changes within your family and all back to back.
Yes, I did.
Can you kind of tell us about that? It's okay.
So for me, uh, really, I didn't even know. Mine came, if you will, at the age of 8 when I was removed from my mother and was sent to live with my great aunt. And then, as far as which was very difficult because when I was moved to my great aunt, I wasn't, I didn't know who they were. I didn't know that side of my family. So I was going to strangers, which was a lot, but they definitely raised me the best that they could. My biggest change as far as family members passing away, that started my well, not early 20s, mid 20s, because I was here in Georgia by then. And my grandmother passed. Then 2 years later, my uncle passed. And my uncle was like my father. So I can remember I was taking my daughter to, I want to say, gymnastics class somewhere in Stone Mountain. And my aunt called me and told me that he passed. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Like, passed how? Because it didn't make any sense because I had just spoken to him a week prior at his job because he was my uncle was my person. If nobody else supported me, was there for me, understood me, and cared for me, it was him.
Yeah.
And it was big for me because being removed from your mother and everybody, family wise, that you're familiar with early on at a young age, my abandonment started so early on as a kid. So for me, it felt like didn't nobody ever care. But my uncle made me understand you're okay. I got you. I'm here. I understand you. Let's talk through this. Just the encouragement and the love that he gave. I don't even know how to give the words or express what it felt like. So when she called, my aunt let me know that he had had cancer for a month and did not want to go through. It was a rare form of lung cancer. They told him he had, I want to say, 3 to 6 months left. He told her he didn't want to go through chemo or anything like that. And then he didn't want to tell us. So my cousins, which was his kids, he has a son and a daughter. I don't know how early on they knew, but my aunt didn't tell any of us until after he passed. That was the hardest experience I've ever went through in my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It felt like I was abandoned all over again, to tell you the truth.
That's how I feel. It's a hole in your heart.
It really is. And I don't even know if I've ever really gotten past it. Really. I don't think I've fully healed or went past it because I truly don't feel like anybody has fully seen me beyond him. To tell you the truth, I would say you would probably be the closest, but beyond that, no. And then after my uncle passed, my great aunt that raised me, she passed away 2 years after that, and then my mother passed about a year after my great aunt passed, or it may have been vice versa. I don't remember. It was so much death. I think at some point I started shutting down even more off of it. Like I wouldn't even let, kind of what you were saying, wouldn't even let myself feel anymore, wouldn't really want to connect, not like that. So even to this day, I feel like I only let myself go so far when it comes to connecting with anybody. And again, I think that it started so early on. It's really sad to think about it.
It is. I mean, it changes your psyche. It changes the way you view the world and even how you interact with people. It just changes you. And, it's some deaths that happen, particularly if it's a parental figure that's been
Yeah,
in your life, you never get over it. There's always a missing piece, in your soul when you lose physically, because they're always here with us. We don't.
of course. Yeah, I literally talk to him every day, sometimes two, three times a day, trying to understand myself and trying to be able to heal more. And when I feel like I need the connection more, I try to stay connected with my cousins, his kids.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
So let's talk about what sparked this show with me. Um,
okay.
the reason I wanted to do this show about change. I think was it last week or the week before last? I mean, it was last week, beginning of last week, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I was laying. I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. I was laying in the bed, sleep, right, and
Okay.
I had this dream that my mother was sitting on the side of my bed talking to me,
Wow.
right? And for whatever reason, she, like, I was laying down and she was sitting on the side of the bed. And I remember her putting her hands on me,
How? But what do you mean by that?
like, like this. She put her hands on me like this. My mom did,
Like
right?
in your heart, if you
Like,
will, is that what
yeah,
you're saying?
kind of
Or
like
in
on
your
my chest.
chest?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was like, "You're activated." And I woke up.
Wow.
And I remember sitting up thinking, "No, Nana was here." Let me tell y'all, can't nobody tell me my Nana was not in the room with me. It was so real that I just could not believe or fathom that was a dream. I was, it had to be her. Like, it was too real to really be a dream, but I woke up and, it was a dream,
Yeah.
but it felt so real, right? And I remember thinking, what does that mean? Like, I just remember being confused about it. Like, what does that mean? Okay, moving on through the day, I go in my office to work, and like normal, I work from home. And I remember getting up to go to the bathroom, the one in my room, because it's the closest to my office. And I walked into my bedroom and I stopped mid stride and I thought, "You've changed.
Mm.
Something is different. Something is different about you." Now, this
What
is what,
made you stop mid stride though? What was it that were you
I,
feeling something where you
yeah,
stopped? Because you was on your way to the bathroom. So what
I
was
was
it?
feeling strange. I just was feeling different. I was feeling different. And I was just like, something is different. Something is different. And I couldn't, because nothing physically had changed in my world or anything, that I felt different. And I couldn't really make it out, right? Energetically, that I knew something had changed. So fast forward to a couple of days later. I think it was actually, I think it was Saturday morning that just passed, because I know I didn't have to get up to go to work. So it could have been Saturday morning. I'm laying in my bed. And this is like around 8 o'clock or so. And then all of a sudden, I just start crying, just bawling. weeping, just laying there. And even in the moment of crying, I was confused as to why. I was like, why are you crying? This is odd. And I heard just as clear as day, I heard it. You're grieving your old life. I was like, I'm grieving my old life.
What does that mean? Exactly.
And then that made me even cry a little harder because I knew the change that I felt days prior when I walked out of my office and stopped was connected to the you're grieving your old life.
Oh, so you had made the connection by then.
I made the connection. And I remember thinking, I'm grieving my old life. What's that mean? And I laid there and I thought about it. And I knew God was saying to me, your life is going to take a different path. Things are not going to be the same as they were. Things are about to be very different in your reality. And I was kind of shook because I love my life as it is. I love my life as it stands right now. I love my family. I love the people in my life. I love my friends. I love my job. I love everything about my life. So to think that it's headed to clearly a significant change, because things change. We lose relationships, we go to different jobs, things change. But this is the first time that this has happened to where I felt different. I felt something had switched in the universe or switched in the atmosphere regarding me. And this was the first time God had really said, hey, heads up, things are not going to be the same. So it's been, honestly, and I talked to Vanita about it. I just happened to, okay, let me back up. So after that, I think it was like Sunday, because this happened like Saturday morning. I just happened to be on YouTube and came across this lady who is, she has a spiritual YouTube channel. And she happened to be reading some tarot cards. It was like she does like a daily tarot card reading or whatever. Just for the collective, not for anybody specifically. And I just happened to click on it. And she was talking about how recently there has been a change, right? A change that she had felt. And she kind of gave the same scenario that happened to me with waking up, feeling different, realizing. So I was so stunned, I sent the video to Vanita. And said, Vanita, this girl just said the same thing happened to her that happened to me about the energetic shift. She said, literally. She's like, yeah. And she happens to be a Sagittarius like me. The lady is. She's a Sagittarius like me. She was like, something's changed. I woke up energetically. I felt different. Something happened. And I was like, me too. What's going on? I can't figure it out. Like, what is going on? So it's been a process for me to kind of accept that things are changing in whatever way that may be. But whatever way that is clearly huge. For God to have to say, hello, I'm letting you know right now that your life is not going to look the same real soon, right? And how I'm processing that, because again, I love my life as it is. I love my life as it is. Not saying it can't get any better, because it can, definitely. And I'm sure in some way, shape, or form, wherever God is leading me to, it's great and better than this. but there's still an aspect of the Kanika the Kanika of yesterday, the Kanika of right now, the how things are right now. But I know even for my own growth, things have got to change so I can evolve and go along on my own spiritual journey as well, right? But it doesn't make it easier though, because you know things not being the same can be a lot of things. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's big and significant enough for God to kind of give me a heads up about it. So
Change is a mug. I haven't had nothing that deep. I think my biggest changes is, like I said, childhood, and as far as adulthood, I'm a fixed sign, so I like structure. And when you disrupt the structure of things, it feels chaotic to me. It feels
does.
it's an aspect of not really liking the unknown, because when you're in the structure, you know exactly, you know what you're doing, what to expect, what the next steps are for the most part. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Small changes is one thing, but big changes like losing a job or, changing finances.
Yes. That's a hard one.
Whew, that one's really, really hard. Even the adjustment that's about to come up for me when it comes to my daughter going off to college. I want to say I have prepared myself for this change, but I don't know how well I have really prepared myself for the change. I thank God for my friends, because I don't want to be the type of person that go into some kind of depressed state, because it's going to be a huge change. Raising kids, you're in that for some years.
You are.
So when you come,
it's part of your identity.
Yeah, it is. It's very so much part of your identity, and when you're looking at self and looking for self growth and self evolution for yourself, and a change like this comes along, it makes you really look at yourself. Like, when your child was there, were you using her as a crutch to not do the things that you're supposed to do in your life?
Are you worried about discovering that's the case?
I think part of me is, and part of me, which I'm trying not to go into, is I'm a type of person that beat myself up real hard behind it. Like, you know better, or you should have been ahead of this, or things of that sort. So a part of me is afraid of it.
That's real talk, which is understandable. That's
Yeah.
understandable. I mean,
Part of me is,
when your reality changes, it is an adjustment for the mind. It's an adjustment for for your heart. It's an adjustment. Yeah. It's an adjustment. But the thing about life is, life itself is change. It is change.
It is.
And it's important for all of us to understand, and even have in the forefront of our minds, that things are going to change. It's not going to stay the same. You may not be in the same relationship. You may not be in the same job. You might not even have the same friends, that you had 20 years ago or 10 years ago, or whatever the situation may be. It may be
exactly
that, that job isn't aligned to you anymore, or you've outgrown that relationship and you've evolved, and you don't energetically resonate with that particular person anymore, and you have to go on to your next teacher and your next lesson, because ultimately that's what we're doing here, which is why it's so important not to get too attached to what is, because we all cling on to what is, you know?
Exactly.
You
And
know,
even in the aspect of me stating earlier, I don't allow myself to get close to people. You still, when you spend time with people, you can't help but to get close. Or when you spend time at a job, you can't help but to get familiarized and comfortable and at ease in that space. So it's a jolt to you when
it
it,
is.
it shifts.
It is. It is. That's what I hate about breakups. Like my last couple of breakups, you know, the for me the worst thing about those breakups was losing a friendship. You know,
Hmm.
losing my everyday confidant, you know, that I can
Yeah.
just talk to. You know, to it was bigger than, you know, a relationship for me. It's like a friend is taken away, you know, out of your life. And
Hmm.
someone you built a bond with, you know, over time. You know, so I've had to learn how to navigate, you know, sometimes, many times, people are only in our lives for a season,
Hmm.
right? And seasons change, and that's okay. You know, it doesn't make you not love that person or those people any less. You know, it's just that you must move along on your journey. They must move along on their journey.
Real
You know,
talk.
y'all agreed to come together for a specific amount of time, you know, to teach each other the lessons y'all were supposed to learn from each other. And then you have to move along, right?
Hmm.
And that's okay. Now, I really had to, you know, come to terms with people because when I love you, I really love you. Like, I really love you. And I don't want you to leave my life, you know. And I had to understand that it's okay. And it's part of this whole dance we're all doing, you know, as we come here to teach, learn, and grow. And we do that by interacting with each other. And a lot of that growth comes from loss. A lot of growth can come from
Yeah,
loss. A lot.
that's true.
Sometimes that's the only way you can grow.
That's true. I
Something has
believe
to
that.
leave your life, you know. Sometimes
It
in the most
still don't
dramatic.
take away from the emotions and feelings of it.
It doesn't take away from the pain. It doesn't take away
No.
from the pain at all. You know, so the only I would I, I, I would tell everybody just know, put this in the forefront of your mind that you know ultimately, you know what God cares about for all of us is our spiritual evolution. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
Not us trying to stay in a relationship because you don't want to be alone and stay at this job because you scared, you know, you're not gonna be able to get another or whatever the
Yeah.
situation may be.
Hmm.
You know, ultimately our spiritual evolution is first and foremost. And if you keep that in mind, when something does happen, and it inevitably will to all of us, most of us by this age, by this big age, we've experienced some kind of major change. We all mostly have. Just know it's all a part of God's divine plan, the bigger picture. There's a bigger picture that's going on here that most of us aren't aware of, right? And in this bigger picture, we're all playing a role in each other's movie. So look at life like this. Like your life is a movie, right? And you have supporting characters in the movie, a movie that was written for you before you even got down here, before you even came out of your mother's vagina. You had already signed up to meet certain people, to do certain things, to go through certain experiences, to try to overcome them, grow from them, learn from them, whatever the situation may be. So everything that's happening to you is happening. You signed up for it, number one, and number two is for your growth. The thing is understanding this,
Hmm.
understanding why did I call that into my life? What am I trying to teach myself through this experience that
Exactly.
I'm going
More than
through?
anything. Exactly. What did you learn from it? Most
Yeah.
definitely. What
What
was
am
your
I,
part in it?
yeah. What am I trying to teach myself? You know, this, that, and the other. Let me tell you something. Awareness, real awareness about what's going on spiritually, not just what's because we are 3D focused. We're very 3D focused. The only thing we know is the matrix and things that are going on in the matrix. But The spiritual world runs the matrix.
Hmm.
The spiritual world is the foundation, right? You would want to know what's going on in the spiritual world, because if you know what's going on there, then you can kind of jump in front of a lot of stuff.
I was about to say it helps you navigate current where you'll be prepared for whatever is going to come.
Absolutely, it's the
It gives
foundation.
you a heads up. It gives you a leg up, a push forward on what's happening in your life.
It does. It's the foundation of life.
Mhm.
Spirituality in whatever form you practice, your thing, because however you get to God or whatever your roadmap is cool. Don't ever let nobody tell you whatever
Most
your walk
definitely.
is wrong. Whatever is best for you is best for you. But just know there's always things playing in the background that are affecting things in the 3D. So if you know what's going on spiritually, it helps navigate what is ultimately going to happen in the 3D, in the earthly plane, in society, what I
Mhm.
like to call the matrix, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times I know a lot of stuff that's going to happen just based on what's going on in the ethers, what's going
Mhm.
on, with the planets and the stars and all of this stuff. That's how astrologers can predict a lot of stuff, because
Mhm.
as above, so below. So what's going on up there is going to affect what's going on down here. A lot of people don't know that, particularly because we were raised Christian. And Christianity don't really teach that. It doesn't really teach how the universe really works and how stuff manifests, and how Pluto and Mars and Saturn and all these things, all these planets moving around and getting in and being in different houses and different zodiac signs, and all these will affect your day-to-day life.
Yeah, it's all energy. And
It's
once
all
energy
energy.
shifts and
Yes.
changes, energy affects everything. It affects your mood. It affects how other people move. It affects your emotions. It's within you and not outside of you.
Absolutely. And I think that in that energy, the energetic shift is what I felt when I said something is different about me. Something has changed.
Mhm.
There's something energetically that has changed. I can confirm that it's definitely changed in the universe, because God is requiring us to kind of evolve from the old system of you know ego and celebrity worship and all of these things to more of a spirit-led life. God is trying to push us to see beyond the 3D and beyond the matrix. God is trying to push us to do that. So I know it was an energetic shift in the universe, but it definitely has been one within me too, which is exciting and scary at the same damn time.
I'm sure.
So yeah, it is. It is. I take comfort in knowing that, though, throughout whatever happens, or whatever changes, and I take comfort in knowing I have people around me that love me. I have my family who I adore, who always ride for me. You
Love
know,
them.
they always ride for me. They're, they're a great bunch.
They
they're
are.
yeah,
They
they're
are awesome.
yeah, yeah. I'm very blessed to be born into the Low family. No family goes without its issues and ups and downs, but ultimately we have a lot of love for each other,
Mhm.
and we are there for each other and we ride for each other. So I
Mhm.
take comfort in that, and I take comfort in knowing that I have my girls. My girls ride for me, they be there for me, in whatever, my ups and downs of life, and so I take comfort in knowing that, I have my tribe, and whatever happens, I don't know what it is, but, I know I was supposed to say this today, you know, for whatever reason. This God wanted me to share this today. Um,
That's deep. I'm sure it's universal wise. I'm sure it's several people going through it, trying to figure out what's happening,
what's changing?
what's
Yeah,
changing, or even exactly what you felt. I'm feeling something within me that's different. I don't really know what it is,
yeah,
or even think too, because we're in the matrix. You tend to be on your mission of things that you're doing. So I doubt if it, dawned on them several people probably to even go and research to see what the heck is going on
Right.
or
If I
what's
just
happening really.
off, like, yeah, going with your day. You know what I mean?
Exactly, because that's majority of the time that's what you do.
Yeah.
Instead of really trying to research it. And listen, life tends to life. So
It
you
do.
stand on the trajectory of that constantly, as
Yeah.
opposed to stopping to say, wait a minute, why am I different? What's really going on? Or, after so many days, hold on, this isn't changing, or what's happening here, and really go and look to see what's happening within the universe.
Absolutely. Because it's definitely something that is universal, that energetically that is affecting me for whatever reason. I'm sure, like Vanita said, other people feel it or felt it, don't kind of know or wasn't aware or was aware for a moment and went back to,
Exactly.
doing whatever they was doing. But it stood out to me. I just knew I was different. I just knew. I
Hmm.
didn't know what and how, but I knew something was, was different. So, ultimately, wherever God leads me in the new chapters of my journey, I'm excited. It's kind of bittersweet because again, I love my life the way that it is. I love my life the way that it is. Oh, girl, they having a good time.
That's what you're supposed to do now. God dog it. That's what you're supposed to do. So I get it.
Okay.
And she's like, wait a minute. Okay, so I get it. Some more good times coming, but why I can't just be where I am and have these
I
good?
know,
Like, wait a
right?
minute.
I have no complaints. People be like, you, you, you ain't lonely. You single and da 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 da. I'm like, man, I have an amazing life. What y'all are talking about?
That's what's up.
Please, I'm straight. So, but in any instance, wherever this journey takes me in whatever next chapters of life God is going to present in my life or whatever, new journey that is going to present itself, I'm ready and I'm excited. And, we'll see what life has for me. And even you with, your baby going to college and now,
Yeah,
you're going to be in a new journey of your life as well.
I most definitely will be. It's interesting to see what it's going to look like. I don't see it yet. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know.
You just got to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know. Day to day, day to day. That's all I can do at this
that's
point.
it. That's it. But just know, everybody, that if you just look at life as, you know, things will change and that's okay because God is trying to push you on your journey. Things will come and go. New people will enter your life.
Yeah.
Some people will drop off. Seasons change. Things change, and that's okay. It's what we signed up for. It's exactly you're doing right now, exactly what you signed up to do before you got here. All of this that you're doing is for your growth. The thing is being aware of it. Once you become aware, you know how much you can evolve as a human once you become aware of that's what you're doing. You just need
That's
to know
true.
that. We get caught up in these scenarios and the dramas of life, but ultimately the drama and chaos you're in is for your growth. You're trying to show yourself something about yourself, whatever that is. I'm doing
Yes, and I like to look at that, whatever that is, because when you don't look at it, you tend to repeat it. And I don't like repeating uncomfortable situations. So I'd rather just get the lesson the first time.
we often kind of do a look back on certain things that that happens, particularly when it comes to people we're close to or love. We kind of try to find a
Yes.
lesson in it, you know
Yes,
so that we won't repeat it or we can grow from it or learn from it or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah, and understand, so that we can evolve, to the next level energetically. Because energy is
Yes.
everything. Your energy is constantly emitting to the world and is shaping your reality. So you want to make sure your vibration is high.
Mm-hmm.
The higher
Exactly.
your vibration, the more you can attract the things in your life that you really desire. a lot of the reason why you're not attracting the things that you desire is because if you don't believe you deserve, your vibration is off. It's too low.
Exactly.
And you raise it by self-evaluation, healing, looking at our the things we do and these behaviors we have, and why we see things the way we do. A lot of that comes from childhood, we both know, and how we perceive things, and
Yes.
what your parents did or didn't do, all those things. Sometimes you got to take time to stop and evaluate those things so you can fix them, and so you can create the life that you really want. I had to do it. I've been doing it. It don't ever stop.
No, I was about to say it's never ending.
Yeah, I'm always. And you know what? I'm so thankful, that I'm seeing a lot of men beginning to look at, their own behaviors and choices, and try to change it. Particularly, a lot of men I know, are looking
That's
at life a
awesome.
little differently. It is just to see them, evolving and becoming awakened and aware. It's just incredible to see, because men are more attached to their ego and the matrix than anything. They do not want to buzz. They don't want to look at no internal stuff, no feelings, nothing.
That's
Everything is
facts.
external. Everything is outside of them. To see men stopping and actually looking at themselves internally and trying to deal with, fix, and heal some of their brokenness just gives me hope that we are going into a new earth.
The ones that are, you guys are phenomenal.
They
That
are.
is incredible.
They are.
Incredible.
So proud of y'all.
I'm
I'm
so proud. Congratulations. If I could blow a horn, I would to y'all right now. Like, that is awesome. Real talk. Real talk. I'm so proud of you guys.
And some of them, God told me this day would come where, God, like, they not always gonna act the fool.
You sure, God? You sure? Because I swear it don't look like it right now.
I'm like, God, now I know.
But look at God now.
Girl, I know, God let Jesus walk on water, but I don't know if you can perform these type of miracles, God, on these Negroes. I don't know if you got that kind of power, God.
Oh my God. And look at them now. Heart, love. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, their growth and evolution and watching it's just phenomenal. And it warms my heart. And again, it gives me hope that things are changing, and we are going into a more evolved and aware, awakened, and more spiritual time period. Because the more aware we are and the more awakened we are, the better we'll treat each other. A lot of our behaviors just come from lack of awareness. That's why, again, going back to the thing I got upset about with the comedian, it was a double-edged sword for me, because I can't get mad at them because they're unaware. They just lack awareness, right? Because if they didn't lack awareness, they wouldn't do it. So it's kind of like being in college and being mad at kindergartners. They're in kindergarten. You can't be mad because
they haven't evolved to that space yet. They're not in college yet. They ain't even made middle school. So
they haven't even got there yet. They haven't got there yet. So I dealt with that. God was like, "Are you mad at them? They don't know no better. That's just where they are spiritually." So hopefully, again, seeing the men and their growth, it gives me hope that things are changing. So that you have anything else, Fanita? We died at an hour.
No.
Okay. I'm glad I was able to come on, and again apologize for last week if you did happen to see the show. If you happen to see I was on one last week, I do apologize for that. The energy was crazy. So it was crazy. It's crazy. But thank you for tuning in again. We do this show every Wednesday now, starting at 6.
Yes.
Get over here, chop it up and go on about our evening.
Yes.
If you don't
please
mind,
like, share, subscribe,
Absolutely.
press the notification bell so you'll get that little wonderful ding whenever
Right.
we go online.
Up on your phone. Yeah,
Yeah, when we go live. We
absolutely. We
would
will.
greatly appreciate it.
Yep. And we'll be here again next Wednesday,
Wednesday, 6
6
p.m.
o'clock. Yep. Same time, same place. So we would love for you all to join us again. Thank you for watching, wherever you may be in the world, and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.